6:24, and time for Lauren to join me. Lauren Rich Consulting, a licensed therapist, which is always good to have here on the show. And I don't know if that's just randomly happened, or if this is a reason you're here. I'm sure there's a reason you're here. Now today it may be to help other people, because the stress of marriage, for example, can be tough in itself, depending upon the relationship. Then you add a pandemic, you add the holidays, you add cold, gloomy weather. There's a whole lot of factors that could really make things difficult right now.
There are, and there were a number of reasons, I wanted to talk about staying married today. One is because of the increase in divorce rate thanks to Corona, and I read and searched, and the numbers are so contradictory. And then I realized that I really probably shouldn't be talking about divorce. I should be talking about staying married. And one of the reasons I say that is because I had a gentleman, a veteran who I've been seeing for a while, and he came in a few weeks ago and sat down, normally in a pretty good mood, and that day I said, "How's it going?" And he sat down and he said, "I think I'm going to leave my wife and kids." And next to, "Doc, I'm suicidal. I think I want to take my own life," leaving my wife and kids is, second place. So I really wanted to focus on that. It's been an incredibly stressful year for people. It's been really hard. Even if things are good, it's been really hard. And holidays can be even more stressful, not just financially, but logistically for people. And maybe some of that will let up with Corona this year because we'll all be stuck with our own family unit, so to speak. But I really wanted to hit on three major things today for folks. One is being available to your spouse. This conversation is not for those of you who are in a domestic violence relationship. It is encompassing of everybody but that crowd. So if you're a crowd, this does not apply to you. So one is being available to your spouse. We get so caught up in multitasking and taking care of things, running businesses, going to work, the demands of the 8 to 5 job.
It's hard stuff.
It is so hard. And then at the end of the day, we just want to come home and we want to check out. And so, the first piece to remember is to be available. And if that means taking every Friday night to go out to dinner, or staying in for dinner and having someone else watch the kids for a couple of hours, or whatever that looks like for your family or for you and your spouse, that should probably start happening. Because if you're not available, nothing positive is going to come of that. We kind of always make the assumption that we know our partner, that we know everything there is to know about Cliff Castile, and that simply isn't possible. Being married and learning about your spouse is a lifelong process. So number one is be available.
So divorce rates, though, I was just looking some of this up as we're on the air. Apparently, according to Legal Templates, now this is a company that sells divorce papers. Okay, divorce agreement sales saw a staggering 34% increase this summer compared to last year. Is it because we're being around each other too much during the pandemic?
I think that's a lot of it. I think some people are stuck with their spouses, so to speak, or more confined. And don't get me wrong, I love my husband, but there's a certain point where I'm like, go fishing, go hunting, go anywhere but here for like 6 hours. So yes, I think people have just been so confined with one another that it's probably worn thin on the nerves, is my guess. But a staggering what percentage?
34%.
34%. That's a lot.
34 out of 100.
That's a lot. And a lot of those are first marriages, and they are within the first year. And so folks are getting married and then realizing, I guess they just don't like each other, or maybe marriage is not what they thought it was going to be.
Well, it's not going to be what they think it is going into the single world. Number one, you can't meet anybody because you can't get within 6 feet of people. So, if you got somebody you can get within 6 feet of, hang on to that person.
You got to weigh your options, the lesser of two evils.
I know.
So number one is be available. Number two is be attentive. Okay? And I don't mean be attentive to every need. I mean be attentive in, does your spouse appear stressed? Is there something that maybe they want to talk about but haven't brought up yet? And that doesn't mean nag. That doesn't mean, what's wrong with you? I know something's wrong with you. Leave it alone. If they want to talk about it, they'll talk about it. But being available and being attentive are really important. Relationships and marriages especially are something that we have to nurture and grow. And I tell every couple and every man that's in my office, you need to keep dating your wife. You need to stay in that mentality. Do not grow complacent.
Right. And both sides of the football,
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. Do not grow complacent.
Is there a number 3?
There is a number 3, and it was brilliant. Oh, I know it. I know what it was.
Are you sure?
Boy, dumber than usual today.
You're funny.
Be appreciative, and this one is not an option. Okay. Being appreciative and showing gratitude, saying small thank yous for things, even if it is something that is a chore or it is a job that your spouse or partner normally takes care of, that doesn't mean that it's any less worthy of a thank you. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's doing the dishes, putting gas in the car, all of those kinds of things.
Right.
Just saying thank you, or I appreciate you doing that, or
even noticing it.
Or even noticing, and small statements like, I really know that you love me when fill in the blank. And like I can tell you, I know my husband loves me when I see him checking the tire tread. He's trying to make sure that I'm safe, that everything is good, that there aren't going to be any problems. And while that is his duty, his assignments are oil changes, tire rotations, and things like that, it still is something that I need to be appreciative of, because
Sure.
he doesn't have to do that. We don't have to do
He cares,
things.
so he's going to have to check on it.
Yes.
Doesn't want you to have problems.
Yes, be appreciative and show gratitude.
And even deeper, it doesn't want it to cause a problem that could cost the family more, so therefore,
Right.
really, it's helping the whole family.
Yes, yes, being preventative, absolutely, yeah. So being available, being attentive, and being appreciative.
Gratefulness. It's so
Yes.
important, I think.
It
Because
is.
if you keep doing something and you never hear, pretty soon you start to get that
You
plants
do.
the seed of
Resentment
resentment.
develops.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't want that in a
Yeah.
relationship.
And
Because once you get resentment in there, isn't it hard to get it out?
oh, very, very.
I mean,
yes.
it's like a weed.
And it kind of goes back to that same veteran that came in that said he was going to leave his wife and kids. He said, I just kind of feel like I'm there as a paycheck, and I know a lot of men feel that way. A lot of women feel like they're just chore runners, just meant to take care of kids in the household or whatever it may be, and everybody is pulled every which direction. But the bottom line is that if you want it to work, you're going to have to work at it. And when he sat down that day, this is a wonderful guy, and he has younger kids, probably in the 12 and 10 range, and they have been through a lot, multiple deployments. He's been gone. Wife has held it together. Just a really good pleasure to see. And the response that I gave him was, you really need to think about this, because this will be irreparable damage that you are inflicting on
Not
your
only,
family.
yeah, I was going to say, not
For
only
generations.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. This is, I
It's
said,
tough on kids.
I said there's lots of things that are fixable in life. I said, but suicide and divorce, I cannot undo those for you.
Right.
And so he took some time, and I actually think he went camping that night, maybe for a night or two, and spoke to wife, and they have worked through it and sought marital counseling. But it's hard. Even when the stars align in marriage, and you're the same religion, the same political view, you come from the same cultural background, marriage is still hard. You're going to have to work at it.
It is hard. It's always going to take work.
Yeah, it is. So,
And, there are other things we can do, which I guess counseling would always be a good thing.
counseling
if
is
you're at
always
that
one
point.
of them.
But, if you've got a lot of stress in your life, sometimes it's easy to get yourself into that stress. I've learned in my life, if you become a slave to the credit card, for example, or
Yes.
if you try to live beyond your means, or if you're buying something that requires a lot of maintenance or a lot of cash to go at it, those decisions ultimately throwing logs on the fire
Yes.
downrange.
That is exactly right.
And
We're not doing ourselves any favors.
yeah, I mean, it's nice to have, I've had a couple of boats in my life. I don't know what it is about boats, but man, you just stand back and throw money at it. I'm telling you, that's what
Yes,
it is. Need a
yes.
lower unit, need a new prop, need this, need that. We got a soft spot in the deck. There's always somebody like, what?
Yes.
Flat tire on the trailer.
Yes. Well, the best day of your life.
there's always something.
The best day of your life is when you buy the boat and when you get rid of the boat. Right? Yeah.
But I love boats. Don't get me
So,
wrong, I do,
yes.
because there's nothing like the freedom you get out on the water. But you exchange that in some cases.
And we have those niceties, And as long as you're in agreement with your spouse about those niceties, then that's okay. But we have to make good decisions for the family, because ultimately the stress, you're absolutely right, will compound over time. So if we can be attentive to our financial needs, our spiritual needs, whatever that is for you, those kinds of things will help be preventative in the long run.
Right. And
But
sometimes you want to blame the spouse that they're the problem, but maybe it's the other stuff in the relationship.
Mhm.
Like,
And
why do you feel like
sometimes-
there's so many chores? Why do you feel like you're just a paycheck? Why do you feel? Because maybe together everyone got in this situation, being that you would be the chief, I guess, moneymaker in the family. Of course, you're going to feel that
like
way.
the paycheck,
And if you've
yeah.
got a lot of stuff going on in the house, a lot of busyness going on, well, of course she's going to feel that way.
And a lot of people call and they say, we need marital counseling. I say, I don't know that you do. I think you both need individual counseling, and once you work on
That
yourself
makes sense.
individually, the marriage will go better. But again, being aware, being being available, being attentive, and being appreciative. And so I know
Are
it's
those
so.
the three that we need to remember?
Those are my big three.
Okay.
Yeah. So please don't just run to the divorce website. It's so easy. It's the first thing that pops up. They've made it convenient for you. You can do it online in Corona times. If you can at all make it work, make it work.
Yeah. It's so much. I mean, to have someone
Again,
in your life that you can count on.
my words of caution are irreparable damage.
So
So
remember that.
Yeah, remember that.
So what's the first step somebody does? They can try to implement these three things, but they still may need help. I
implement
guess they
those
can
three
call
things.
you.
And I'm not here to take anybody's money. I turn down marriage counseling all the time, but that doesn't mean that people don't need a marital counselor, and I have great referrals for that. But a lot of times, again, it means they need individual counseling, and things will get better. So it just kind of, everything is a case-by-case basis.
So
but
there's
really
a light
taking
at the end of the
inventory.
tunnel, and it's not a train.
That's right.
All right.
That's
It's
right.
actually daylight and better time.
Yes.
Thank God
exactly.
for that. 8:36. Lauren, thanks for being